thank you, Professor Lily, for the prayer and introduction. I think your introduction is much better than ChatGPT. I don't know how you get it, but it covers a lot of things, not only from one website. Yeah, this is the first time I heard the introduction that's so much better than my website. Yeah, that's the introduction, and I think Professor Lily's introduction is better than that one. And it's an honor to be here because this is an interesting and innovative institution. I hope this thing can go big. Everything starts small. So here we are today with a beautiful venue and a wonderful people. Well, it's very different in Silicon Valley. And here, every trip come to Boston is like a cultural enrichment. Over in Silicon Valley, the garage, we start from the garage.
We have no culture.
It's really a garage. Yeah. Oh, in Silicon Valley, there's one thing. Oh, that's your baby, Sue.
I know. So how about this? Okay, you're.
Okay.
Wife.
Yeah, that's my family, but normally we don't take out my family picture. Yeah, so there's a lot of questions right now in Silicon Valley as well as in maybe also in Boston. Here is what's AI is going to bring to us, right? Because there's a lot of layoff in Silicon Valley because of AI. Everywhere we go, we were asked the question about how AI will change the society, how AI will change us, how we can adapt. There's a lot of layoff in Silicon Valley. Although the AI is really hot and startup raising a lot of money, at the same time, this layoff and the people has a lot of uncertainty. I think I always try to put this thing into perspective. It's very much like any technology innovation. It brings us a lots of uncertainty. One of the things people think, oh, AI. So after a couple of years, maybe many of us will lose their jobs, and the society may become better because it's more productive. So we have a lot more free time to do a lot of things. Some other people think, oh, AI comes and we lost control of the technology, and there's a lot of side effects or bad things could happen. So this is a lot of concern. I think the best analogy is about the first industrial revolution. I think before, it's about 98% of the people were farmers. Today in U.S., only 2% are farmers. So what happened during that time, right? There are a couple of things happened. One is before that happened, people would think, oh, only 2% could be farmers, so the 98% will be free, can do anything they want. So the society will become a much better place, right? And so many people have so many free times, and this can enjoy life. That didn't happen, right? So when a lot of farmers lost their land, and they pretty much lost everything. They come to the city, and the only thing they have is their labor. So that's the one thing happens when technology advances. They change the society's structure. One thing is that's the one thing happened. Another thing is what we imagine. What we imagine, like, oh, people will have a lot of free time and do a lot of things, and more people enjoy life, and very few people need to work. That didn't happen. So more and more people get more stress. The pace of life and work become faster and faster, right? So as a farmer, you have a lot of time when it's dark. So during daytime you work, in the evening you're free. And same thing here. So with the technology advance, we're not getting more time. Instead, we have more stressful. The pace of life become more and more fast. So that's a similar thing will happen here. I think many of you, if you can feel, this year you feel maybe busier than last year. The last year's was busier than the year before. So with that AI coming, similar thing will happen. I believe the pace of life will become faster. Will become busier. So that's the fundamental trend we can see. People become busier. The pace of life will become faster. That's why the short form videos and all those kind of instant gratification app and utilities getting more and more popular because people become busier. So that's the two trends with advance of AI will become even clearer. We are become busier. There will be more opportunities. There's more opportunities for many of us because the pace of life is so fast. The things we request is very different from what we had before. So that's the two basic assumptions here. Okay, so with that layout, I think maybe we can have a conversation with Dr. Su Xu. Yeah, you can ask me questions or you can just keep talking. How about that?
Okay. You want to sit here?
Yeah, maybe it's easier
if
we talk together.
Okay. So, so I totally agree with Larry. And then I think at Amino, what happened is when Larry started the fund 2012, and I was very lucky. Before that, I was a PhD postdoc at Stanford University Medical School. And I did the summer internship in Boston. I figured that Boston wasn't for me because I was nobody. And then I came here and, I didn't feel that much like Asian people in here, which is wrong. but I went back to Stanford and I feel, this is much more like a home. And it was like, we have, Larry, he was angel investor of Zoom. And then we have, Kan Xie, who actually brought his company to NASDAQ. He was a Stanford master dropout and Tsinghua undergrad alum. And then he just had this security box. And at Stanford, he manually made that security box. And his customer wanted it. And then he said, okay, so I'm going to start a company just to continue to customer service for my customer. So he started the FaultyNet just like that. And the FaultyNet went public in year 2009, which you can tell it was a downturn back then. And then, I feel like, there is like Asian people who became your boss. It feels like this is heaven to me because I was nobody, and then I came here without anything, and then I feel like California was for me. I didn't understand the culture of Boston back then, because I was nobody, and now I understand. Boston is different culture. Like if you go to a restaurant in Silicon Valley, in downtown Palo Alto, and then you will see Zuckerberg, looking inside a restaurant called Mandarin Gourmet, with his wife during lunchtime. And then, he saw, it wasn't legit. And he came in and then he would talk to us. And we were so excited. Oh, it's Zuckerberg. And then in here, nobody cares. You go to a restaurant in Boston and then you see, a person sitting there, and then people talk, he won the Nobel Prize last year, and then it's different culture, and then people will put they were not like, we were very cool in Boston, so we put a pen, on the table, and everybody put pen in line, right? So that was the culture of Boston. So that's how it works in Boston. So Boston, we didn't care about billionaires. We didn't care about people make from 0 to a billion, right? So when Larry was talking about entrepreneurship, Larry will always talk about, we should think billions. Because the reason why we think billion is because magic happened before in Silicon Valley, right? So basically, Larry invested in Chime Bank when they were pre-product, pre-revenue back in 2013. And now is $25 billion company, the largest pre-IPO fintech company in Silicon Valley. So magic happened. So we didn't need to think millions. So we had to think billions, right? Because if we think millions, and then our investor will be like, hey, you guys were venture capitalists. You didn't make riskier, like educated bets, risky enough, right? Risky enough. So, you have to think billions. But I feel like in Boston, people already established. People are looking for impact rather than just, 0 to billion, right? So that's different culture. Like, for example, we just went to, the incubator, two of our portfolio company currently at the incubator called the Engine, right? So it was at Kendall Square. And if you talk to the Engine, and then their mission is to commercialize, fabulous, quantum computing, biotech, everything, out of Harvard and Stanford, MIT and Harvard Laboratory. Their mission is not to think billions, it's not just for return. So they're looking at impact. And if I'm already established, and I'm Mitsubishi or corporate venture, and then I'm looking at ESG, I'm looking at supply chain, carbon zero, I'm looking at manufacturing automation, and then Mitsubishi, my business was well established. I can make money over there, and my investment is for impact. So if I'm Mitsubishi, I wanted to be an LP of the Engine, right? So it's different. In Silicon Valley, venture firms only invest in healthcare, biotech, has a hard time to compete with investors who are investing in AI. Very simple, because if we are in the same boardroom, and then I'm the person actually investing in healthcare, and Larry is investing in AI, and in terms of ROI, DPI, everything, Larry will be doing much better than me. So I think what I'm going to do is I probably find a better environment. That's why in Boston, I feel like there is a lot of a biotech fund. There's a lot of deep tech, tough tech. But in Silicon Valley, what we say is Silicon Valley, you can see that, in Silicon Valley, we don't appreciate patent very much. What we appreciate is a kick-ass application. So if you have a patent portfolio, maybe in Silicon Valley, people do not care. I'm sorry, but that is why Amino's investment theme is big data plus machine learning plus domain integration, which is a killing application. So I give you an example. It's very easy to understand, right? So Stanford, patent office, we always proud that Google PageRank gave Stanford patent office a lot of loyalty because of the, it was Google, right? So, but the thing is, PageRank is not actually a secret. So you can see that there is a lot of search engine like Bing. Bing also have PageRank. So any PhD can actually came up with a machine learning. It's not even machine learning. It's just PageRank algorithm. So the algorithm, even though it's patentable, but you can work around it. You can have another search engine. But the thing is big data. So I wanted to ask Larry, when I joined, Amino in 2012, and then what was your thoughts back then? Because a lot of people back then were talking about offline, online, and then we should bring more things online. And then how come you actually came up with an investment thing, which is data, even in 2012?
Okay, yeah. And I just stand up so easier, people in the back. That's a very good question. So, like Dr. Sushi posts here, like those are billion-dollar companies we invested. So when we invested, they are not so-called AI company, but now they are so-called AI companies. So in 2012, when we started the fund, it's fortunate, like myself, I had a background in Symantec and Veritas. So I was doing data security, data storage. It's all about data. My partner, Dr. Hui Ken, I think Sue just showed a picture. He started the Google image search single-handed back year 2000. So that is a story because of Jennifer Lopez, a picture. And a lot of people in Silicon Valley try to look for that picture, including the early employee at Google. And then he started this Google image search by popular request within Google. It turned out to work really well. So Larry Page said, you just put it online. Everybody can use it. So from the very beginning, we believe a company that's able to accumulate data and process data are the companies we want to invest. The reason was twofold. One is that's all we know. Yeah, like image search, or also Dr. Hui Kan started the Asian language search. That's actually called large language model. Well, today's large language model is very different, but still. So that's what we did. That's our major, number one. So we were in the space. Number two, which is more important, we were lucky, is the biggest trend we believe in the last 60 years and the next 5-10 years is digitization. So with everything going on, you talk about AI, and before you talk about AR, VR, before that is mobile internet. Actually, through our eyes, from our perspective, the biggest trend is digitization. Human beings produce data every year. It's like double, triple, quadruple. This thing has been going on for the last, since the digital computer was invented. That's what, how many years? 50 years or 60 years? Never has been in the human history have such a trend. If you think anything in human history, anything triples, quadruples every year, never happened before. So since digital computer was invented, this is the trend. So whatever happened along the way is just a milestone. So that's why, for us today, the company we invest 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, today it's become an AI company, but literally, they are a data company. So we don't so-called only invest in so-called AI company. We invest in data company. They become an AI company when data is hot, when AI is hot. Right? They become a mobile internet company when mobile internet is hot. So that's why the last example, the Chime Bank, we invest in 2013, become a unicorn. Today is like a $25 billion valuation. When we invest in 2013, it has only $8 million valuation. They were just a digital bank when we invest, try to be a digital bank. Then they caught the wave of mobile internet. Then they caught the wave of AI. So for all the people here today, or either yourself or maybe some of you, your children, want to how to adapt to AI, either start a company in AI or find a job. Just from our perspective, AI is just a milestone. In 1 or 2 years, AI will disappear. No. In 1 or 2 years, actually even very soon, in a few months, even now, AI is not going to go away, but it's just become a utility. Just remember that. Just like you build a house, you got to have water, you got to connect to electricity. If you don't do that, you're dumb. Same thing here. Today, if you build a company, or next year if you build a company, if you don't utilize AI, that's completely wrong. You should include AI, use it. So AI will become a utility. But you don't have to know everything about AI. So that's where many people confuse. I don't know AI technology. No, you don't have to know exactly how the algorithm look like, how the large language model works. A lot of parents ask us, my children is going to college. Do they study computer, psychology, economy? Maybe computer is better because it's all about AI. From my perspective, no. Whatever your child want to learn, go ahead and learn it, because AI will become a utility. So that's the key. Today, if you have a company, tomorrow, if you want to start a company, try to use AI as a utility. Don't overwhelm by this technology. Don't be so bogged down to the technology or by those trends. Every time for company, for startup, when you chase after the trend, you are behind. When things get hot, you want to get in, you are late. NVIDIA stock is good today. It's hot. But are you going to make more money by buying NVIDIA stock today? Right, because everybody knows it's good. When everybody knows it's good, normally, from investor's perspective, it's late. For anything you want to make money, just like a secondary stock, that company has to beat the expectation. You have to work on something most of the people feel too early. If you work on something that's hot, you are late from an investment perspective. Most of the company Dr. Sushi just presented, when we invest, most of the time, other investors did not want to invest. All the companies, pretty much all the companies here. The Chime Bank, $25 billion company, the top left. The founder talked to 200 VCs in Silicon Valley. 200. Those 200 VCs did not invest. It's as simple as that. Same thing with the rest of the Webflow and the V. That's a Chinese American, right? So we are the first check not because he didn't look for money. He looked for money for a long time. We were the first check because we appreciate the company, their vision first. Other people feel this is not high tech. It's just food delivery. Same thing like DoorDash. So that's back to Dr. Sushi's question. How come we invest in so many companies like AI, but back the year 2012, we didn't start with the investment vision of so-called AI, because AI was not hot. But we focus on data. That's the biggest trend. So whatever you have today, you have existing company, you want to make some improvement, think about digitization. If you want to start a company, think about how you're going to utilize AI, how you're going to digitize your industry, your space. That's the future. Yeah. I don't know if I'm off the topic or not.
Yeah, so I feel like, as Larry just mentioned, so AI was utility. And the other day I was at this event called Women on Board, which, for the last couple of years, a lot of public company, they want women on board. So it was really good. I felt like a woman's voice has not been heard, especially public company, AI company, but I'm not sure about the new administration, which is, that's still priority, probably not. So, but I was at this event, and there was a lady who was in banking, And then she has been experienced CFO on board and on a lot of public companies board. And then she came to me and she said, look, Sue, you really inspire me to study AI because you said, Larry mentioned, AI was utility. If you're building a house, you don't use water, you don't use electricity, that's absurd. So I don't want to be absurd. So I wanted to study AI. And then she actually texted her husband. And her husband was also an executive at one of the companies and also angel investor in Silicon Valley. And then she really wanted her husband to meet me because I changed her perspective. And then I feel like, I feel like it's very, very important for investors like us. I learned this from Larry. It was Larry literally said AI is utility. So I quote Larry. I mentioned you when I was at the event. And that was very inspirational to me. And what happened at Amino is when I first joined Amino, I remember Larry has one of the best friends of his. It was first Asian director at Facebook. And he has been with Facebook for 15 years, 7 years at VP Engineering. And then back then, I remember he said to Larry, look, at Facebook, back then it was called Facebook, we always do DDD, data-driven decision making. So when Zuckerberg has a meeting, and if you don't actually present using data, and then this meeting is dismissed. I don't want to be in this meeting. So, and then Larry was like, let's do a software. If we want our portfolio company to be data-driven company, and Amino, we have to be data-driven. Because, I talked to Larry whether we can show this software that we built. Larry led this initiative at Amino, and then we built the software. If you just give me an email, and then the system can automatically build the due diligence profile for this company, which we can actually took advantage of the last 12 years experience and convert it into a data-driven decision-making process for Amino. So not just Larry mentioned, is utility that our portfolio company should use. We ourselves are actually building this AI system. I've actually talked to some LPs, institution LPs in the States, and then they came to us and they were saying, wow, we have never seen this before. No other venture firms, probably a private equity or hedge fund, and they're building it, but we haven't seen an early stage venture firm is doing it. So this really helped us. I'll give you an example. I can't show it, but I'll give you an example. Like you remember, like last September, there was a YC demo day. So what happened to a lot of investors, there were 2 days. There were 269 companies, every single company presenting with just 1 to 3 minutes. And a lot of investor friends, they came to us and saying, oh my goodness, I'm totally overwhelmed. How can I make a judgment just within 3 minutes and make a decision? And then what happened to Amino was that our system already scraped the internet, and then we actually put all this company 3 months before the demo day. So we went through everything. We looked at every company, and we literally reached out to around 40 company. And then we talked to them as soon as they want to talk to us and launched. And a lot of the first company we invest was 3 months before the demo day. So that's how data-driven decision-making can do. That's how AI can help Amino to scale. So that's one thing. Another thing is you probably can imagine how we value Boston talents. So, if this company was founder from Boston, we give them like 120 scores, So we really like talents because, if you think, because we are at downtown Palo Alto, And Larry always give the tour, just like Gloria gave the tour of Boston. So Larry talked to investors. Oh, this is 165 was where Google got started, and then this Emerson Street little building was where Facebook got started, right? So, and then, but the whole Boston, the whole Cambridge is like a Palo Alto. So this atmosphere, I feel like, is perfect for academia. And this kind of culture is so valuable. It's so valuable. I think Nobel laureates is number one, number two is MIT, Harvard. So I think what I learned is training is beautiful. Yes, we wanted to actually work on our passion. But if you had no training, how did you know this is your passion, right? So how do you get trained? My experience, I studied all the way to being a postdoc, right? So I knew firsthand, if you couldn't find your passion, come to Boston, come to the best school in the universe, and then to find your passion. But as soon as you find your passion, you should quit. You should quit. Degree is overrated, for sure. I'm not sure whether you agree, right? But I think, if you think billions, start early. Like you guys have Zuckerberg, you guys have Bill Gates, who actually, dropped out from Harvard. So degree is not that important, but coming to the best school in the whole world, and then you can find your best friends to start company together. You find your mentor, and then, how many executives at Meta right now are from Harvard? So many of them. And then another really good company that I truly love is Scale.ai. Attention is all you need. NVIDIA is making money during generative AI, and then because of computing power. But another very important company who is making money is Scale.ai, which is funded by a MIT grads. So I feel like there is this beautiful, beautiful synergy between Silicon Valley and Boston. So that's why, we wanted to come here more often, and we wanted to talk to the talents before they actually come to Silicon Valley. And we wanted to actually help them, to give them enough, we give them like a capital, we give them recruiting, we give them business development help, and then they will feel more secure to come to Silicon Valley. So we really wanted to actually ensure you guys that if you come to Silicon Valley, you will have a second home. So yeah. So what do you think?
Good point. I think there's many people ask why Boston have so many good schools but so many startups in Silicon Valley. I think this question come up a lot. I think today I want to use this opportunity. Dr. Sushi mentioned why. Most of the school here are so good. Stanford is only over 100 years, right? 100 years. So why Silicon Valley become a hotbed for startups? We do a lot of research. We do a lot of study. I think this, first of all, there are many ways to be successful, right? So being a professor is very successful. Being a good entrepreneur is successful. It's just by certain metrics. So different people could be successful in different ways. So I don't mean only entrepreneur could be the successful person. Since here today, Gloria wanted to talk about innovation, entrepreneurship. So what's the difference? In Boston, actually, lots of the technology, the fundamental technology, the basic research, actually coming out of Boston, from Harvard, MIT, and those good schools. The basic research, most of the basic research are coming from Boston. But why the billion-dollar company grow out of Silicon Valley, including Facebook, right? There's a movie, The Social Network, right? Sean Parker told Mark Zuckerberg, if you want to go big, right? If you want to be billions, like Sue mentioned, right? Go to Palo Alto, go to Silicon Valley. Why? Number one, people are made very differently. Some people has the potential to be a great entrepreneur. Some people are made to be a great researcher or professor. They are all great. They're all great. But for somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, the thing is very different. The way of behavior is very different. This world needs many people. We need good professors. We need good researchers. They are very valuable. We also need entrepreneurs. So what kind of people can become an entrepreneur? Why in Silicon Valley there are so many successful entrepreneurs? If you or your children want to be a successful entrepreneur, how do you find out? How can you let them try it? That's the key. When we look at the companies, like Dr. Su mentioned a lot of companies here, we have a system internally, we track a lot of data. Digitization, we track everything. If I don't have time, we don't talk about it. Or maybe when we turn off the camera later on, we can show the system. Because it's real. Yeah, we do a lot of real score on people, so can be politically incorrect. We do that later when camera is off. So what we find out being a successful entrepreneur, the number one trait or attribute is a resilience. It's a resilience. It's not how good their memory is, how intelligent they are, how personal they are, how social they are, how innovative they are. No, the number one trait for a successful entrepreneur is resilience. It's very different from being a good professor, being a good musician, being a good executive. There are certain people, they're not built to be entrepreneur. I don't mean that entrepreneur is the best thing in the world, right? You just talk about entrepreneur today. So we don't, because if you talk in a different room, I can tell how great to be a professor. Yeah, we can do that too. So believe me, 说得比唱得还好听. But today, since we talk about entrepreneur, we just see why some people could be entrepreneur, some people cannot. And you should figure out if you or your children could be a good entrepreneur. That's the key here today, right? Number one is resilience. All the successful company we have invested, that's number one we find. It's not because they are professors. It's not because they are smart on the algorithm. So we don't invest in company because they have a patent. We don't invest a company because they have a trade secret. We invest in an entrepreneur or in a person that can be resilient. When they have a problem, they try to figure a way to solve the problem. So we invest in problem solvers. It's okay, you cannot solve the problem. Just work around it. Don't get stuck to it. That's different from professor or from researcher. You got to solve the problem. We have this kind of cancer, you got to solve it. It's different from entrepreneur. You solve the problem. If you cannot solve it, work around it. That's
work on something else.
Work on something else. The number one is make money. I think during the lunch, Gloria will talk about whatever is for-profit, non-profit, or any enterprise. You got to let the outcome much bigger than the input. Anything you do, you put in little resource, you make the result big. It doesn't matter if it's non-profit. It doesn't matter you run a political campaign. It doesn't matter if you start a company. You've got to make an investment decision. Here, same thing with entrepreneurship. Basically, as an entrepreneur, you solve the problem. If you don't work around, and you make progress. You make progress, at least visible progress, every 6 months. So that's very different from professor. We meet a lot of people, researchers say, you give me $5 million. Give me 2 years. can do this. Then we cannot do that. Nobody gave you 2 years of time. As an entrepreneur, you got to make progress every few months. The reason is simple. Because if you want to be successful, you need lots of money, lots of resources, lots of talented people. How do you get it? If you're making visible progress in a few months, your employee getting motivated, number one. Number two, your investor get motivated. They will invest more money with higher valuation. So everybody's ownership, founders, employees, although their percentage become lower every time the investor come in, but the absolute value goes up. That's why Google's founders today, they have less than 10% of the company, but they are billions, right? Same thing with Mark Zuckerberg, same thing with Elon Musk. They have a smaller percentage of the company, but their wealth goes up. So as startups, you want to make progress. So people invest more and more, and your ownership, your people's ownership getting higher. So that's very different from other business. So you got to make progress. That's how resilient come in need, because you cannot go straight line when you build a company. Things happen. There's no company go like this. All the company we look at, there's only one thing in common. It's like go, go, go. No company go like this. You ask me, like I was one of the early angel investors of Zoom. They didn't go like this. They go like this. And then get some money, go like this. All the companies here, billion-dollar companies, they all have this. They all have near-death experience more than once. Most of the people will give up. Most of the smart people gave up and now forget about it. Because in Silicon Valley, the average salary of a CEO is much lower than the average salary of employee. Most of the startups die anyway. So which is, secondly, the founders try to make the company survive, so they pay themselves very low. So most of the people gave up. Not because they're not smart. Most of the people who gave up are smart, because they have better things to do. And they don't want to go through all the hardship. So they don't want to do like this. The family, their spouse cannot take it. So back again, the resilience is number one, because you have to go through this. Normal people don't want to go through this. So that's why. So there are many other things. That's why Boston produces a lot of talent. But for many people who go to want to go big, they have to go to Silicon Valley, like Mark Zuckerberg, like the founder of Scale.ai from MIT.
Yeah.
Why I talk about this? Today here we talk about innovation. We want other place, more place like Boston to become Silicon Valley. So today here, I think a lot of people here, new friends, old friends, this is our home. Boston is your home. If we want to make Boston more and more like Silicon Valley, you got to recognize, number one, character of a startup founder is a resilience. Take care of these people, tolerate these kind of people. There will be more and more Mark Zuckerberg stay here, make it big here.
Yep.
That's the key, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to, so we're at downtown Palo Alto, and then all this company, you came out, and then people say, oh, this is how Google started, this is how Facebook started. Now, most of the AAA building was occupied by Palantir, which is also a software company. And in our offices, and then we had, for the last 12 years, we went through 3 different offices. And so almost, every single offices, and we have a couple of unicorn companies from 0 to billion. And then, companies that actually just has 2 Stanford MBA students, and then their company. So they, Larry took them to TV, and then when they were interviewed, it was just 2 guys from Stanford GSB. And another company, they started in our office, and then another company have 3 Stanford MBA students, and 1 Russian kid. He was undergrad as computer science. And then 4 of them started a company originally working on some dog walking marketplace app, and later on they working on something else and became a $1 billion company. And then later on there was a Korean software engineer from Google, and then he started a company, and most of his customer from Korea and his investor from Korea. But in Silicon Valley, doesn't matter, like your customer from Korea. And as long as you have very big ARR, and then the investor like it, and then the investor will invest in it. And now they are $1 billion company. So that's how, you think magic happens. And then it's very easy for you to actually recruit talents. If you actually, so couple kids, they, start a company, and then they can hire a machine learning scientist trained from DeepMind, because people trusted you. People look at you, and then people like, it happened before, it will happen again, and then I can join you, right? So that's how the culture is different from other places. And then, if you go to, Chicago, there is something called the 1861 or something. It was an incubator funded by Chicago city government, and they try to, so if you go in, you'll see Silicon Valley in a nutshell. And if you go to Austin, there is like something called the Capital something. And then if you go in, you will say, they were saying like Silicon Valley in a nutshell. Because it's very difficult. If you don't actually tell people, nothing happens around them, and it's hard to convince those people to come out and join your small startup, right? So I think literally there were 3 things in Silicon Valley. Other people, other places they try to replicate. One pillar is capital. So Silicon Valley has 40% of the US venture capital money. And then give you example, German-speaking countries are one of the largest LP in Silicon Valley. If you are a German startup, you wanted to raise money within Germany, and then maybe LP is your father, and then your father will say, go to Silicon Valley. If the GP, if the venture firm in Silicon Valley think you're a good company, I'll invest in you, right? Because there is a lot of competition. And then, but you're the only one in Germany, how do I know? There in Silicon Valley, if you say, I can do this, and there are maybe 200 companies saying, I can do this as well. So if investor choose you, that means you're really good, right? And then, so capital is one pillar. Second pillar is talent. As Larry mentioned, talent doesn't mean Stanford. Talent means the third pillar, tech giants. Because you have, all these tech giants, they hire from Boston, right? So the tech giants, they're the third pillar. It attracts talents from all over the world. Like I know somebody who is overseas, and then when Facebook or Meta was trying to hire people, and they gave them a H-1B visa, even though you haven't actually studied in the US. Doesn't matter, as long as you're very good, I give you H-1B visa. So it attracts talents from all over the world to Silicon Valley. So those are the 3 pillars: capital, talents, and tech giants. And then, compared to Silicon Valley, if you go to Kendall Square, Kendall Square, you see Novartis, you see, so many established pharmaceutical companies. That's our giants in Boston. That's why we have, biotech funds here. And that is also why we have a lot of startups in healthcare. So we have seen, healthcare company in Silicon Valley, and sometimes I recommend them to raise money in Boston, or to come to Boston. So, those are the things, the ecosystem is very, very important. But that's 1.0. If you are a person which have this mind, which is more like a 2.0, like us, if you can cross, US, the East and West Coast, if you can have that kind of capability, you get the best of the two cities, two areas. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley, but you already have the man side. You can have the capital in Silicon Valley, but you can take advantage of a lot of the healthcare talents and healthcare passion of all those pharmaceutical companies in here. So a lot of the AI-driven healthcare company can be born here. And that's another thing that we like about Boston. If you are in healthcare and then you are, but you actually inject this data-driven, like, we invest in Gorilla. Gorilla is not born in here, but we had a company which was in here. Gorilla, they took 2 tubes of our blood and tested for 50 different kind of cancer. And this company was acquired by Illumina. So it's a healthcare company, but they're using machine learning. So it can also be a billion-dollar company. And then we had another company called Gene Mode. So they're like a Benchling. So they sell to laboratories, and then they're a very good company. And then they don't own a laboratory, but they help all your notebook, web lab notebook, digitalized in the cloud. And then next thing you know, this company was born before ChatGPT, November 2022. But once ChatGPT was launched, and this company quickly took advantage of it, and then now your professor, your PI at Harvard Medical School can talk to your notebook instantly. Whatever your experiment is, your professor can just talk to your notebook, instantly. So that's how beauty, could be for healthcare. This company is doing very well. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I think Larry has a very good point. You always talk about immigrants, and I think in Boston we have lots of immigrants, talents, academic talents from all over the world. So how do you think immigrant can actually be, the mainstream of innovation?
Yeah. Okay. So good question. And if any of you have a question, I think it might be a good opportunity. We are almost out of time. I think these pictures, the picture here has all the companies, not all of them, the billion-dollar companies, right? They all started, most of them we invest, when we invest, their valuation is less than 10 million. There one thing pretty much in common is 80% of the founding team has an immigrant. Like from the middle, the top, the web flow, right? It's 2 Russian with Chinese, so 3 founders, 2 from Russia and 1 from China. The one in the center, Rippling, is a Harvard guy, so he's a local, is educated in Boston. Turing is the founder, 2 founders is from India. Yeah, 2 founders are from India. Replit, the one on the left, lower left, he's a son of a Palestine immigrant, refugee. His mother is a Palestine refugee. V, many of you probably use V. Yeah, it's from Shanghai Jiaoda. Yeah, so. And Omisi Go is a Japanese working in Thailand. Definity is from Britain. So what we found out is most of the founders, most of the successful companies, we find out their founders, their founding team has immigrants. That's no accident. right? We found out that after 10 years over the time. But now it's obvious, right? You look at the NVIDIA, right? Look at the Google. Right? One of them is Sergey from Russia. Look at Yahoo, right? One, Jerry Yang from Taiwan. Yeah, pretty much everybody. If you say, oh, Steve Jobs is not, but his father is from Syria. Right? Jeff Bezos is not, but his father is from Cuba. There are many reasons behind it. We may not have time to talk about here today. I just want to let you know, statistically, and as a result shows, the immigrants or the children of immigrants have a much better chance to start a great company. That's not accidental. There are many reasons. One of the reasons is you have more knowledge. As immigrants, right, you know your own culture. It doesn't matter you come from Korean, China, Russian. You have something the people here don't have. But when you come to the US, of course, if you learn the things here, you have to learn it here, right? If you say, I come to the US, I don't learn, I just still have my own stuff from my previous country, then you have no advantage. But you come here, if you learn the culture, the law, the business environment, then you have toolbox, right? So you know a lot of things cannot be done with a 2 dimension. You can get it done in 3 dimension. In Chinese, we call it 降维打击, right? So there's no accident. The immigrants has a better chance to start a great company. Yeah.
Thank you for the talk. The question for when you talk about early digitalization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Digital. So do you think there is an opportunity in the like a sunset or mature industry?
Mm-hmm.
And the other way to ask, do you guys, your company invest like a certain industrial versus the other industrial? Is there any like a particular industrial you guys were interested in?
Not really. So if you look at those areas like this, the Chime Bank is a banking, it's a digital bank, right? So suppose fintech or financial institution, this kind of thing is pretty old. Fintech, $25 billion company. V is grocery delivery, right? So we don't care about what kind of industry, as long as you utilize the latest digital technology. It's a very old term, though. If you digitize your domain, you might become a lead. It doesn't matter how old the business or how old the industry is. Everything will change with AI, with digitization. You got to change it. Yeah, all those things like grill, you test the blood. Well, testing blood has been going on for many years, but they analyze the data, the blood information with genomic information with all the cancer symptom, everything. So they correlate these things together using large language model. It's all about data. Yeah, so.
Yeah, there was a trend in Silicon Valley about 10 years ago. It was like internet is eating the world. And now with large language model, there's another trend, which is software 3.0 is eating internet. And meaning that digitalization will be accelerated. And the acceleration will take advantage of the large language model as coding could be done by English rather than C++. So digitalization will be ubiquitous. And whatever you do, it can be digitalized. And even like hardware, even clean tech, sustainability, healthcare, any domain. And those 2 trends sometimes scare people because you can see that we were on the way here, and then Larry mentioned to me, look at this, Chegg. They're laying off people, little kids. They're not actually doing tutoring online anymore. They're using ChatGPT for their homework. And then another company, there was another company on the way here. I saw it was laying off people.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there's another company. It's the same story. So it's scary, right? It's the truth. It's the trend. In the future, large company will hire less and less people, meaning their margin will be even better. So large company will become richer. It's not end of the world because there is another trend that Larry just mentioned. As individual, before, if we wanted to start a company, we have an idea, we want to start a company, and then we will say, hey, we just need a software engineer. Nobody wanted to actually work for me. So I want to raise money to hire engineer. But now, you don't need to raise money to hire engineer because you can just take advantage of software AI agent, coding agent like Rapid. Rapid, they can let little kids, 4-year-old little girl, to write a gaming app. Not just that they can write the app, she can also, Rapid also host the app and she can share with her friends. And her friends can play the app that she just made using English as coding languages. Meaning that, yes, the large company will hire less and less. They will be bigger and bigger. But in the meantime, I don't need to work for a large company. I can start my own business just like that. It always come together. It will never be end of the world. Yeah. So there is no specific domain we're working on. So AI, it doesn't create new needs. AI just disrupts one industry after another.
Go ahead.
What about like K-12 education, machine learning in the younger ages, not just college, not just university?
Exactly. So in K-12, before pandemic, before digitalization adoption rate going up, and then nobody want to invest in K-12 education companies because in the US, people don't feel comfortable to pay for their kids' education. And everything should be free, right? So that's what the government should work on. However, right now, there is this new trend that everything is education company. I'll give you an example, Rapid. Rapid, right now, it says, it's a coding company. It's competing with OpenAI Copilot. But in the meantime, it's also an education tech company because it lets little kids, 4-year-old, to learn how to code. And then you can actually, so it's an online IDE platform. The little kids, they don't need their teacher. They don't need to learn how to download all this code base to set up a coding environment. They can just go online and then open up an account on Rapid and start to write code, which is you can totally characterize as a tech company. And same thing with those companies that actually in MarTech. So little kids, if they're influencer and then they are on Instagram or TikTok and they have followers, and suddenly they don't need to hire a lot of marketing people, a lot of people that actually work for him, talent agency people, they don't need it. They can just do their own marketing. And we invest a company called Beacons.ai. So it's a company that actually render up to Linktree. It's a very interesting company. So they are like little kids to actually build their own website just with one click of a button. And if they are Instagram or TikTok influencer, and then they can build their one-pager. They can do online e-commerce. They can do newsletter. And then this company doing very well. It's $100 million valuation. So every company taking advantage of AI can be an education tech company. Mm-hmm. If you are in that domain, I think you are in the good time. Yeah, that's what if I say. Yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the gentleman, yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So
Thank you for giving us a great speech. So my name is Peter. So we are currently using AI to empower the property management industry. And at present, I'm running the application scenario with like 200 units, which we are collecting data and to streamline the process. So we already doubled the efficiency.
Wow.
So my question is, so from a strategic perspective, so what's the key point to be a largest company in your industry?
You mean the rental business or
Like
property
property
management?
management, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, and
or real estate.
real estate. One of my partner, like Dr. Hui Kan, he was the angel investors of
AppFolio?
AppFolio.
Oh,
So
Yeah, you
AppFolio.
probably work with them.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
using a portfolio.
AppFolio, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for property management, we feel there's an interesting trend is it's not efficient, right? It's a very inefficient area. So one of the things we could do is we think if you could somehow digitize the environment, and then I think there will be a huge opportunity. Every time we see an industry that's not efficient, think about digitization. So that's the area, if you could think of anything that can scale up, that would helpful, yeah. I think for the specific industry, I think we know less than you do. We learn from the entrepreneurs. Just back to your question, I think about digitization. What kind of for very old business or traditional business, what kind of digitization you can think of? The example I always use is Amazon's data warehouse, right? Amazon data warehouse, they can lay off 10% of the people every year automatically. They're productive double at least of the other warehouse because the salary they pay is twice as the other warehouse. The reason they increase their productivity so much, double the productivity, because they pay twice as high, is because they digitize the warehouse, right? For the warehouse, you carry the box, you ship it, Amazon digitizes everything. For a worker, how many boxes you prepared, how many boxes you shipped, it's all digitized. It doesn't mean anything if the data is for 1 day. For 1 year, if you do more boxes than everybody else, if your box, you add up the weight is heavier, 10% more than other people, you're going to be rewarded. On the other hand, for somebody who do less for 1 day is okay, but on average, the whole year, you are 10% less productive than average, they will let you go. Right? If you go to restroom today for 5 more minutes, that's okay. The whole year, on average, you go to restroom 10 times, 10 minutes more every day than other people, of course they will let you go. So that's the digitization we're talking about. Same thing, we look at people today, we look at the company who try to digitize the customer service with a badge. Once this digitized, the people in the Apple store, for other store, for each rep, how often do you interact with a customer? How each customer reach you? Once this information is digitized, each shop will become so much friendly. People will become so motivated. And for those people who are not motivated, who are not good, they will be laid off. So every chance that you see digitization, that's where the opportunity is. On the other hand, if you are not innovative, if you just be a low-level employee, your life is going to be, you have to work as hell. You have to work very hard because every action you did, you're like rat race. Just imagine why the worker in Amazon warehouse is so stressful. Because if that particular person at the bottom 10%, he will be out. So with all this technology and digitization, as the people who are doing repetitive work, you're going to be as busy as hell and you have no future. Because everything, Every action is measured. You have to consider yourself, am I at the bottom of my measurement? So that's why we want our children to be more innovative. Number one, we hope they could be an entrepreneur, they could be their own boss. The bad news is, become an employee, become a good employee, is going to be tougher and tougher. The good news is there will be more and more opportunity for CEO. Here's the deal. As the technology advances, the society become more and more diverse. I always use the example, in 10,000 years ago, we all dress the same clothes, piece of leather. We get it from animal skin. Look at today. Each color is different, right? Each style is different, the clothes we wear. That's just one aspect. This thing will happen in all the areas. Human beings' desire to be recognized has no limit. It doesn't matter how well the technology goes. No matter how advanced, so-called, how advanced we are, we have no limit to pursue happiness, to pursue to be recognized. Just put it blunt, people's satisfaction based on their relative position in the organization, based in their relative position in the society. Today, everybody lives better than the people 200 years ago. Every one of us, your life, living standard is better than a king. Are you happy? No. Because your satisfaction, your happiness is based on your relative position in the society and the relative position in your organization. So most of the people will never satisfied. They want to be recognized more. People's requirement will be more. So with technology advance, with different kind of psychological, all kind of requirement, there will be more and more type of requirement. There will be more and more type of services are needed. So the society will become even more fragmented, which is a good thing. Each fragmentation or each pyramid is an organization. When technology was not advanced, there just be few big organizations, right? There will be few CEOs. As technology advances, there could be many organizations. So there could be many CEOs. There could be more founders. So I think for many of us here, especially for older people, if with your children, right? You don't want them to be an employee doing repetitive work. Because number one, they will be replaced by machine or computer any day. It's just a matter of time. So for people, any people doing repetitive work, it doesn't matter if it's a physical or intellectual. As long as it's repeatable, your value becomes lower and lower. Your quality of life, your quality of work goes down. There's no future. You're just waiting to be laid off. But on the other hand, because the society becomes more fragmented, your children have a better chance to be an entrepreneur, to be successful, to be a CEO. That's very fulfilling. So that's the opportunity here today. I want to emphasize.
Yeah.
With AI, any technology, the society will become more fragmented, which is good for entrepreneurs.
I have a question after I listen to both of you. Maybe a naive question to me. But I say, okay, so right now we have repetitive work that be lower and lower, such as the programmers and such as whatever, people working in the medical lab or something repetitive. So what your opinion, the entrepreneur could be trained or could be born? To me, it could be both, right? Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, they come from, from different background, but they trained in Harvard. and then they quit because they say, okay, we got idea, we got ambitious, we got ego, we go to the Silicon Valley where the ecosystem are better for us, right? So they didn't train, they did not go into training in Harvard. But they're success because they get the wave or the top wave before even better because they have foreseen something. But for me, that okay, for this, looks like they are born or they have the ego along with. So what's your opinion? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want my kids to be a better life. How can I tell them, okay, you go, if you want to success, you'll be trained, or you have to go with resilience, endure, whatever happened, this is a trait. What do you think? They've been trained, or they've been born, or from their parents, or from somewhere. What's your opinion for the young generation? If they have this so amount of challenge, maybe they cannot say now, but they're coming. So what you can tell the young generation how to be successful in their fields?
Yeah. I think I tell one story probably that can may explain things. We invest in a company. First of all, we invest in many companies, right? And we only need a very few to be successful, like with 1,000 times return. So one of the companies is a PhD from a very famous university. We don't want to mention the university because that's a good one. He's a PhD, and that person worked on that particular area for many years with a very famous advisor. We invest in a company. He's a 32 or something. Yeah, it's very young, 30-something. About 3 months later, he come back to us. His hair is all white. He's stressed out. So we tell him, you know what? You can just shut down the company, go back to work, because basically it's too much for you. The real thing is that startup is not for him. It's very smart, have a very good advisor, had good PhD from a very famous university. IQ is probably very high, but 3 months, hair is all white. So he's not the type.
Can't sleep. Yeah.
Cannot sleep well.
Stress out.
Stress out.
Yeah.
So that's what we say, oh, this guy is not the guy. He's not supposed to start a company. To back to your question, it's a very good question. And we try to figure that out even now, every day.
Let's use AI to figure out.
Right. But the fundamental question is, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? Can entrepreneur was born by nature or be trained? It's not by training. You cannot. There are universities. I don't want to mention. Some countries, they have a PhD in entrepreneurship.
Not Boston, not from
Yeah, not Boston. There's a PhD in entrepreneurship. That's bullshit. How can you have a PhD in entrepreneurship? It's a joke. So what kind of people can be successful? They have to learn. But it doesn't mean everybody can learn. We find out some person is good at startups. They found a company. When the company go to they raise another 10 million or 20 million, they reach their limit. Other VC come in, they replace them. They learned from employee, from engineer to be a CEO, to manage 10%, 20%, 50% good. Beyond that, they cannot grow anymore. There are some companies, there are people like the one we listed. They manage 10 people, they manage 100 people, then they learn to manage 1,000 people. They are people who are adaptive, who keep learning. Not everybody can do that. So each person has their own limit. Nobody knows how far they can go. They have to learn, they have to try. Well, I think there are some senior executives here, right? Managing 10 people, you work with every one of them. You make sure you build loyalty between you and every 10 of them. Right? Because if those 10 people, 3 of them can form something, you cannot manage the team. They rebelled. Okay? Any of you being a manager, you know that. If few of your people get together, have better relation, you are out. If you're ever in a big company, you know that. Some company could not even manage 10 people because of that. You build a relation with each of the 10 people. But if you become a director, you have to manage 10 people. That 10 people each manage another 10 people. That's a different skill set. Some entrepreneur can grow from a manager to become a director level entrepreneur. Means they can manage 100 people. When a company continue to grow to 1,000 people, you have to manage a director. Director has to manage a manager. Manager has to manage an employee. There are 3 layers. How can you manage those people? It's a different skill set. When you get 10,000 people, you become a religious leader. You have to be able to become a religious. You have to talk. Just by talking in front of 10,000 people, you can inspire them. You can get your message through, past all the executives, all the bureaucrats, all the red tape. You have to be almost like a religious leader to manage 10,000 people. So for entrepreneur, how far you could go, nobody knows. You have to keep going. Everybody has a limit. You have to find out by yourself, which is not a bad thing. That means at least you reach your full potential. That's all we want to do for ourselves, for our children. You want them to reach their full potential. It doesn't have to be a billionaire. That's the question here. But not everybody is suitable for entrepreneurship. Again, there's 80-20 rule everywhere, right? In Silicon Valley, 80% of the companies started within 10 years, they die. In that sense, they lost money. They lost the investor money, their career reset, right? Almost become a director, then start a company, lost money, come back, become a manager. So 80-20 rule. Same thing with a VC. You see us today, we are survivors. Most of the VC in Silicon Valley cannot make money for their investors. After 1 or 2 funds, they disappeared. They no longer be a VC because they lost money, they cannot raise a second fund or third fund, they're done. So how successful a person is, how far they can go, is up to themselves. There's a limit for each person's capability by birth. So what I always tell my children, and all of you or your children, is just basically one thing. Listen to your body, follow your heart. Listen to your body. Entrepreneurship is not the best thing in the world. You don't have to do it. But you have to have the body, your health, good health to do it. Because you're under a lot of stress. People give you a lot of stress. Right? As entrepreneurs, investors come to you to bug you about your progress. Employee want to have a raise. Your spouse say, "Where's the money? Show me the money." Right? It's a very stressful work. Not everybody can do it. So listen to your body. If you feel you cannot do it, just quit. Right? It's not for you. Second thing, follow your heart. Do you like it? Do you want to be an entrepreneur, number one? Do you want to be in this area? Right? If you're in the restaurants business, do you love restaurants? If you don't love it, forget about it. Because you're just forced to do something you don't love, you can never get it. Because there are thousands of other people who love it and competing with you. How can you be successful if you don't love what you do? You cannot force yourself. So number one, tell your children, yourself, listen to your body, follow your heart. And not everybody, a person can be a good professor, could be a good politician, could be a good doctor, but he may not be a good entrepreneur. So the person has to try. Same thing with your children, with my children, let them try. Let them figure out. I cannot tell. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Sure.
As a student of here,
Yes.
I feel like, I've been with Amino for 12 years. I feel like there were 3 ways of learning. So from Buddhism. So one way is you have to personally go through everything to believe, right? And then second, that's the slowest way of learning. And second way is you just be taught and you believe in it. So that's faster. But the fastest way, the third way of learning is through meditation. I feel like Larry was, because I knew that Larry has no mentor, but I feel like Larry is super smart. He just meditated and he know about things by himself. So, but I was taught by Larry. And I give you an example, something very interesting, because you know, Google, they have this new boot camp, newcomers boot camp. And then during that boot camp, sometimes they will invite outside speakers and tell them how to climb corporate ladder within Google. And I was invited as one of the speaker within Google. So I was talking to, you know, newcomers to Google and tell them how to climb corporate ladder within Google. And then after my talk, this was on record, and somebody else shared this link of my talk to one of my investors. So he joined Google year 2004. And then that person was actually someone else, not newcomer, but within Google for a while. And then because it was on the record, so Google people can all share. So he told my investor, was like, hey, listen to this this woman. And then she was more like a near God kind of talk, right? So 高人, this is a 高人, you know, near God. And then he clicked through. He was surprised. Was like, Sue, it was you. You never work at Google. Why? Because I learned from the best. So whenever there is something happened, there was a scandal, there is a lawsuit, antitrust lawsuit against Google, or there is some new launch, and then there is like a Google I/O talk, and then I learned from the comments from Dr. Chu and Larry. So it means that, you know, somebody talking to me, and then his comments, he was like much older than me. Her comment was, oh, 你和高人交过手，就是说 being an investor, working in a venture firm, working with Larry, people like Larry, and then you feel like you learn from the best. And that can be taught. And then that's why, you know, I never work at Google, and I can tell them how to react in those pandemic events, in those important, impactful events in your lifetime. And then those type of things was called, something called instinct.
Yeah, just to follow you, I know everybody now is talking about the NVIDIA, and the founder, one of the founder or CEO, Jerry Wang, and he said he managed 50 people directly. That's quite a capacity for a manager or director or even the CEO. So I said, okay, when he said when, you know, people, when the company have a big challenge to convince or people to, you know, investors and reporting those. He said it always has to be resilient, as you said, for people can reset themselves, even though they cannot overcome, but they have to say, what we can do with a group, right? How we now overcome from different directions to get this done, or one or another would be successful. So I think, you know, to your point, I said they have to be resilient. But for the young generation, when they say, hey, I tried it, maybe I failed, but I said, okay, that's not for me, but tell them, maybe say, hey, you failed, why you failed? Or maybe because this, because that, maybe you're potential successful people. So this resilience to him is very valuable. I think to us, I think it's valuable because as a young generation, they don't know how the potential is. Maybe they say failed is forever. Maybe they failed for temporary reason. So that's resilience is very important to us. And that, to your point is that, you know, you have a group of people generally say encourage each others. Maybe one people they can see one channel, but more people have multiple channels of resource, of talents, of money, of whatever. So those things very, to me, is to be a successful entrepreneur. Anyway, thank you so much. Any question? I think time is now up.